Chapter 1114 revealed a lot of new information, but today's video is about the most important part of this chapter, Joy Boy and his real name. Joy Boy was the first man to take to the seas, the first one to be called a pirate. What if Joy Boy was, in fact, named Bartholomew and he was a buccaneer like Kuma? There are a lot of hints for this. The straw hat in Marie-Joie looks too big for a human and too small for a giant. Could it be the straw hat of a buccaneer? Joy Boy. Buccaneers are bigger and stronger than humans but smaller than giants. Furthermore, the legend of Nika has been passed down through buccaneer folklore through generations. Bartholomew Kuma also said that if he had some kind of power, he would use it to save as many people as he possibly can, just like Nika. Saturn replied to him that it is precisely why his people needed to be erased. Also, this race was surprisingly revealed after 1,100 chapters, at a time when the chapters were revealing more and more information about Nika and Joy Boy. It could be that Joy Boy Bartholomew became the first pirate to save as many people as he possibly could from the Great Flood. Joy Boy may have built the Noah and sailed the seas for the first time to save as many people as possible, except he couldn't save the fishmen. Buccaneers were pirates or privateers who were originally operating in the Caribbean. Joy Boy is a West Indian character who personifies the human need to dance, sing, and jubilate. He traveled to the Caribbean with an early shipment of slaves from West Africa. Joy Boy being a buccaneer explains a lot of things. For example, we can understand Saturn's words in this panel better in perspective. By taboo secrets of the world, he meant the Void Century. A bloodline that should be extinct is the Buccaneers, Bartholomew Kuma on Egghead's example, and a pirate who awakened the ancient god is of course Luffy. If you combine the three, you would get Joy Boy. Fittingly, this would make the sun god Nika of Elbaf being a giant, Joy Boy being a buccaneer, and Luffy being a human. Nika would reincarnate in a different group of people, depicting how the fruit transcends and unites all the different groups of people in One Piece. Why would Joy Boy be a Bartholomew and not just a buccaneer? Bartholomew Kuma has been very much associated with Nika, so he may have inherited Joy Boy's will through his family. Bartholomew Kuma also freed people from their suffering, just like sun god Nika. When Kuma went to the seas, he was wrongly branded as a pirate, despite not being one. Joy Boy could have undergone the same fate after sailing the seas for the first time. Also, Joy Boy could be inspired by Bartholomew Roberts, who was a Welsh pirate in the Caribbean and loved dancing, music, and partying. One of Bartholomew Roberts' Jolly Rogers was a man holding a glass with a skeleton, a reference to Luffy and Brook. What if Joy Boy had someone like Brook in his crew as well? But I believe he had a musician in his crew. It would also explain the secret behind Binks' sake song, "Farewell to the harbor, my old hometown. Let's all sing out with a dawn." As the ship sets sail, waves of gold and silver dissolve to salty spray as we all set sail to the ends of the sea. It would be weird, but what if Joy Boy wrote this song himself and his actual name was Bartholomew Bink? Another reference to Joy Boy could be Luffy and Bartolomeo's relationship. Bartolomeo is Luffy's #1 fan. What if Bartholomew Joy Boy was Nika's #1 fan? He wished to be like Nika, and finally he got Nika's devil fruit. We know from Vegapunk that devil fruits come from people's wishes. In this chapter, we also saw the Mother Flame, and I'm sure you've already seen all the parallels between the Mother Flame and the drawing on the moon that we saw during NL's cover stories. What if I told you there's something bigger it's revealing? I believe that the city capital of Jaya, also known as Shandora, was the ancient kingdom, the home of Joy Boy. This story begins at least 1,100 years ago, probably much longer. There were 3 races of tall people who lived exclusively on the moon: Shandorians, Skypians, and Birkins. These 3 races created little robots called Mooninites. Some have wings, some do not. At some point, all 3 races left the moon because they were lacking resources. Seems obvious because the moon is completely barren of any greenery or soil. Skypians value Verth as a resource because it's a precious resource they can't get high above. This relates perfectly to the people of the moon lacking resources too. It's because Skypians are from the moon. Again, when the 3 races ran out of resources, they left the moon. Birkins and Skypians settled on Sky Islands. I will explain later why, but Shandorians landed on an Earth island that was the shape of a skull, and it was called Jaya. When the Shandorians landed, they created a city in Jaya called Shandora. Shandora comes from the Sanskrit word Chandra, which means moon. Since they come from the moon, they were very advanced and used things like the mother flame, and they also worshipped the sun god Nika. The legendary capital Enel was referring to in this panel is Shandora. 400 years ago, when Nolan got to the island of Jaya, Shandora was still there. Kalgara was kind enough to show Nolan the legendary capital Shandora when he landed on Jaya. Shandora is also another name for El Dorado. El Dorado is a real-life city of gold that people searched centuries for, but it's associated with a city, kingdom, or empire. Shandora was most likely a kingdom. The city thrived over 1100 years ago, and it was destroyed 800 years ago. Shandora was powerful and thriving before the Void Century, and it ended exactly with the Void Century. This is because Shandora is the ancient kingdom. We know Joy Boy was born in a bountiful and thriving kingdom 900 years ago, right before the Void Century. This kingdom must have been Shandora, the home of moon people named Shandorians. Jaya, originally being in the shape of a skull, is a clever theme Oda is using since Joy Boy was the first pirate ever. Skulls are known to be symbolic in piracy. If Joy Boy is from the ancient kingdom, this means that Joy Boy is from Shandora. They're the same thing, which also means Joy Boy is from Jaya, since Shandora is the capital of Jaya. This explains Mocktown's piracy culture, as everyone there is a pirate. Joy Boy being from Shandora, the first pirate ever, would be a clever play by Oda. It's even called Mocktown because they mock the idea of Shandora, aka El Dorado, all while sitting on the very ground Shandora used to stand on. Kalgara says Shandora was destroyed 400 years ago, but the conversation took place 400 years ago. That means Shandora's destruction was 800 years ago. This lines up with the end of the Void Century because Shandora was the ancient kingdom. Robin even discovered that Shandora used poneglyphs to protect their history. It's the same case as the ancient kingdom, as explored through Professor Clover. The language the poneglyphs are written in is casually written all over the buildings of Shandora because it was their language. The moon's hieroglyphs also have the language for poneglyphs on it. Before Nolan made it back to Jaya Island to see the city capital Shandora, there was a knock-up stream sending half of Jaya into the sky. It was the half with Shandora. The Shandians were not shot into the clouds, where the Birkins and Skypians already lived. They were smiling and excited to have more Verth on the Sky Islands. This began a war. The half of Jaya that flew up into the sky was later named Upper Yard. The other half of Jaya still remains on sea level to this day, and it still holds on to the legacy of piracy today. In conclusion, 3 races came from the moon, with 2 landing in the skies. The ones who landed on the ground created an ancient kingdom. Imu erased this ancient kingdom, and 400 years afterward, a knock-up stream broke up the island in half. Shandora was the ancient kingdom, the home of Joy Boy. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to know more about Joy Boy's biggest enemy, Emu, you can watch this video right here. Thanks for watching.